friends. We're here the day before Thanksgiving, almost Thanksgiving. Well, it's not almost Thanksgiving. Here
Yeah.
to do the podcast. We waited a little bit of time. Zoix was supposed to be joining. Do it again. Um,
Yes.
so it's just going to be Code and I, which is totally fine. And let's run through. So we're going to do the normal thing that we do every week usually, and then we'll also discuss kind of finish out our conversation last week. So, spoiler enough, Code and I already went through it for a little fun content for you guys. So if it sounds like we're rehashing a conversation we had 5 minutes ago, it's because we actually did.
We did have it, yeah.
But it was a good talk, and I think there's a lot of stuff that came from it. So looking forward to going through it with you and reviewing it again because it's still a lot of good conversation. Kind of share inputs and thoughts around it. So
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about last week though. We'll skip the first game. The Inaugurals beat Dan Flashes by 50 some points in the battle for the number 6 seed that could turn into more. We'll actually I want to spend a little extra time on the standings just because I think they're so fun.
Oh yeah.
At it this week.
And you're doing the big breakdown next week, right?
The big breakdown next week. Yeah, we'll talk about that at the end for sure of how it's going to be. Brownout against the Raggy, 1.44 point difference between those two. Brownout comes away with a loss there. Opposite side of the coin with the biggest blowout we had this week was Webster Tigers putting up a casual 167 over the Seawards, who barely reach or trying to reach on it but can't. Justin Stelly picks up the win in the battle for, not really a battle for anything, but just two teams who have been looking strong there. They pick up the win. And another very close, even closer margin of victory for Win Like Flynn, winning by, what is that, 0.16?
It's negligible. That's nothing. That's like
a catch.
That's like you caught a pass for 12 yards and fumbled.
Literally.
I mean, literally. Yeah.
It's scary close there with Brandon Ayuk, who's been traded now, leading the way. Cap sheet I'll update as soon as we're doing this, just speaking out loud to make sure it happens. So the standings are where it gets really fun, though, right? So the implications, despite anything happening last week, are still in first place in the standings at 18-4. We've got in second place are the Kangsu Pandas at 17-5. Marcus Russell still has Justin Stelly at 16-6 at number 3. Then at number 4 we've got the Buffalo Princesses. Oh, you're so far in that corner. The Buffalo
Where am I? There we go.
At 16-6. I think it was from the breakdown we did at the cap sheet last time.
I'm falling off the screen.
Yeah. Fifth place stays Brownout.
Because they're the tiebreaker, right?
Yeah, because Brownout beat the Inaugurals in week 1. So because of that, they hold the tiebreaker over. And the points for battle between the Inaugurals and Dan Flashes still goes to the Inaugurals, especially after winning by 50. By the way, it doesn't matter. It's actually better, if I'm not mistaken. Let me confirm this before I say something stupid. It is. It is better for Brownout to be holding the tiebreaker if you're a Dan Flashes fan. So the 6th seed is again determined by points for Dan Flashes and Cam Hoon. The Inaugurals were like 3 points away until last week when he won by 50. So the Inaugurals and Cam Hoon hold a 54-point, roughly, a 53-point difference over Dan Flashes. But Dan, if he was going against Brownout for that last spot, would be down about 150. So it's better for Dan to have Brownout winning over the Inaugurals that he just needs to put some points up. So really close here. There is a world where the Buffalo Princesses take over top spot in that division. There is a really weird world where Dan Flashes takes over the top spot in the Jamarcus Russell division, although we kind of think it's unlikely. And there is a world where the Ryan Leaf division just stays a shit show, like it always is. There's also a weird world at the bottom of the standings there, right? We've got, Flynn, the Seawards, and the Liquidators really just kind of locked into the toilet bowl at this point. Perfect games could get them out. Perfect 2-0s could get them out. Seawards,
like Raggy and
right?
Raggy and the Tigers are just like, I mean, like Webster Tigers had 167 last week, and Raggy pulled out the surprise win over Brownout, but it's like they're both right there with 9-13 and 8-14. So it's just like and we're back into like our divisional game. So like the Ryan Leaf division could be an absolute shit show. It's like I think the Pandas will hang on to the top spot, but it's like if Brownout sweeps this set of of division games or something, and suddenly he's in first place in that division. I think it's really interesting seeing how the seedings work out. So I'm excited for your big breakdown when you do it.
Yeah. So as a spoiler, what it'll be is it's just going to be it'll be the best case scenario and the worst case scenario for every single team and how they need to get there team by team. So it is impossible, by the way, for the C-words to get out of the toilet bowl bracket at this point in time. Even if they have the perfect wins and they go 6-0, they're still not going to be able to catch and swap places with Raggy. They also wouldn't be able to swap places with the Tigers because they lost to the Tigers. So Tigers hold the tiebreaker there.
Yep.
So they're locked into the toilet bowl. I don't think anybody is locked into playoffs. So the problem is that when you talk about playoffs with the 6 seed being points for, it makes it really difficult because they're, so just to put it in perspective, let's pretend that the implications lose to the Buffalo Princesses, then they're fighting for the, if they lose and I lose every single one of my freaking games, I go 18-10. Like I'm pretty sure I'm still gonna make the playoff. Like it's still, like I'll win all points for, but it isn't guaranteed. You know what I mean? So it's tough. But there's nobody who's guaranteed to make the playoffs yet. It really looks like Justin's Deli should. They really should.
I mean,
should. Kung Fu Pandas should, but you never know, especially in these divisional games. I mean, how great of an upset would it be for the Liquidators of the Secret to take a win off the implications? How great would it be for Dan Flashes to knock a game off the telly and go for the playoffs themselves? Like, there's definitely a world where these things happen. I think the Deli won their first game against Dan Flashes. I should have had some type of indicator for this, but I don't.
I mean, like, some big injuries last week. Like, I know I lost Burrow, but Deli lost Andrews. And it's like, I know he has Isaiah Likely, but it's like we don't expect Likely to just do what Andrews does week in and week out. So losing those big pieces of contending teams is tough.
And so Dan would have to go 6-0, and the Deli would have to go a perfect 0-6, and then it comes down to points for. Justin's Deli's winning because they split the series 1-1. They're winning by 150.
Yeah.
So it probably doesn't happen, but we'll look at that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the baseball playoffs. Like, you get hot at the right time and you just go on a streak. It's like I could totally see like with this right now we're looking at it. It's like,
don't mind how bad this looks, by the way. This isn't fair, but this hasn't changed at all.
I'm falling off the screen again. Yeah, no, like I mean, Morgan put up 167, and now Charbonnet is starting because Walker's out.
Right.
So it's like Deli lost Walker for like maybe a couple weeks and Andrews.
Yep.
And it's like if Raggy slides and the Tigers make it up to the extra pick bracket, that would mean that they've beaten the teams in their division.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all kind of a mess. I mean, I really don't know. Like I want to say that like
all Allen has to do is beat the median once, and he's locked in the playoffs. So
okay, yeah, that's
he's got to beat the median once to be locked in the playoffs. I just have to beat. I think if I beat you, I'm locked into the playoffs. I'm probably already in.
You're
probably already
you're for
in.
sure.
Pandas are probably already in, but what if the Pandas go 0-2 against Brownout in the inaugurals? You know, like.
Yeah, I mean, at least the seeding definitely flips, and then it's totally different game because the higher seeds get to pick your opponent, which that definitely matters if you're like, oh, I like the matchups that this guy has versus this guy or whatever.
Yep. Yeah, lots of stuff there. So. Should be really interesting. Again, really looking forward to the next week's video. I would not be surprised if it was a 45-minute drunken ramble of me on my own, just explaining how this team can get here, this team can get there, X, Y, Z. So, but that we'll table that for next week. Let's look at this coming week, what that looks like. So, went with the same thing. So, shout out to week 1, the inaugurals and Brownout being the game of the week there. I think it's got to be the game of the week here as well. Webster Tigers retaking on Justin's Deli in their divisional matchup. Tigers won that first matchup, by the way, against Deli, 149-113. Allen's team really turned on quite literally after week 1. That was his second lowest score of the entire season for the Deli, so it will be a good one there. Rutro Raggy against Dan Flashes. Dan Flashes, I think, won that first game. Let me pull up the schedule. No, Raggy actually won that first game, 121-77. So Dan's team didn't turn on until after the first week either. So Raggy taking on, looking for a second win in a row against them. Would probably keep them out of the toilet bowl if that's the case. I don't know. let's not get too ahead of it. Let's just see what happens after this week. That's why I did it all with 2 weeks left in the season instead of 3 because it's easy here.
Too many scenarios, yeah.
Yeah, seriously. Win like Flynn, looking to redeem themselves a bit. They went 0-6 in their first 3 games against the median and their opponents. Looking to pick up a win against a divisional team. If I'm not mistaken, I should have this stuff just sitting here ready to go. Flynn still winless against his division in the last year and a half. So is 0-9 against his division, the worst winning percentage in the league by far. And surprisingly, Justin Staley, Alan McNabb is second closest at 22%.
That's good because he was tanking last year, so that makes sense.
So Flynn is 0-9, looking to pick up a divisional win, hopefully at some point in time for himself. Try against the Pandas here, play a little bit of upset for his division rival, maybe. We've got the Buffalo Princesses against the Seawards. The Seawards are currently 2-20 this year. One of those 2 wins has come against the Buffalo Princesses in week 1 of this year.
And I have not forgotten.
Yeah, and the Liquidators against the Implications this year to round us out. The Implications started off the season hot before fading a bit more now, and did beat the Liquidators early on this season. A low score for the Implications at 137. But that should be an interesting one. I don't think 137 is comfortable enough anymore, as we've seen the last few weeks. And
yeah, definitely
could beat that. So that'll do it on this, though. Let's just kind of get right into the contracts because that's going to take a chunk of our time. So for those of you that ready? Here we go, Code. I'm going to tee up for this one. Ready? Previously on the random fucking video that we do once a week, we talked about we talked about, what did we talk about, Code?
We talked about free agency and everyone's contracts and who is likely to be re-signed and let go. And like, this is just our opinions that we just kind of went through together. And unfortunately, we don't have Zoiks here. It would have been nice to have a third opinion because what the fuck do we do? What the fuck do Blonde and I know? So, yeah, whatever. So where do we end off? We left off with
the Pandas. So we're now on to Win Like Flynn.
Okay. And Ayuka's no longer there.
Yeah, so keep in mind this is maybe we should have updated this before we did this, but right. So Ayuka was just traded, and we considered him to be. You're not going to trade for someone on a 1-year deal with $16 that's playing this well and not re-sign him. So, so pretend Ayuka isn't here. Which names stand out to you?
And Tyler Conklin's not there either. The name that stands out to me the most is Pop Douglas at the bottom. The D. Douglas wide receiver, 1 year for 1. I think he's probably got to re-sign him. I know that Flynn has a ton of cap to work with.
Yeah.
But I would imagine that he tries to re-sign a guy like that. Like, he probably let Cooks walk because that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
like, he probably let Montgomery walk too.
I'm pulling up the contracts room next year. So
yeah.
$180 for Win Like Flynn next year in the bank. That is the most in the league, by the way. Not by much. The Seawards at 167, Liquidators at 160.
Is that before or after the Kyler Murray A-Rich trade?
That is before.
Okay, because I was pretty certain that after that trade, Rick now has like the most cap available.
Because he sent away Kyler. Yeah, so you're right. So Rick does have a lot more. I should have just updated this, but here we are. Sorry. The Rick is going to have a lot more, but still second most. Then still a pretty good chunk.
He's still got a lot
of change there for Flynn. I think Ayuk gets re-signed. He has been an outspoken truther of OBJ. You know, we did that trade. You know,
if you re-sign him next year, it's like what, 10? Yeah, it's $10. Yeah. It's not much.
The contract increases by 1.2%, 120%, or $5, whichever is higher. So go up to $9, which is really nothing.
It'll be interesting to see
what flex play.
Yeah. I mean, probably depending on if he re-signs or whatever, maybe he'll have a spike week or here too.
Yeah. I mean, I think OBJ in a flex during your bye week isn't a bad deal. I'm not an OBJ guy, but I wouldn't be like, fuck, I have to start OBJ and flex. It might flex 2, flex 3.
At least he's got the name cachet with him.
Yeah, right. So that's kind of where I'm at. Other names, Jake Bobo. I mean, he traded for Bobo, so.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he has a role. I think that's kind of what I'm getting at. That's kind of what we talked about with Raggy's trade for Rachaad White, where he got like Keaton Mitchell, Tutu Atwell, and like a pick or something. It's like you don't trade for guys and then just not re-sign them unless you're just riding it out for the season. Like I like when I bought the Cleveland backfield from Pandas, I knew I was just riding out Ford and Hunt, and that's just kind of that was the expectation going into the deal. So I was like, I don't care if I'm not planning to re-sign
so
Hunt.
It was Demario Douglas, Brandon Cooks, Jake Bobo, a 25 first and a 24 third.
Yeah.
For Dak in a second. So I don't think you add this. Like, you don't send a second round pick back for two guys you don't plan on re-signing, right? Like they
yeah.
That's the way I look at it. But then the question really becomes, is Brandon Cooks? So Brandon Cooks probably a restricted free agent.
Yeah, or I mean, this is a spicy take that I didn't even think I'd go there, but like Trey Lance is sitting there at 1 year 21. He made an effort to get Trey Lance after Zoiks cut him.
Yeah, but you just let him walk. He handcuffed Dak, right? That's what it was, I thought.
Yeah, that probably is what it was, because he has Cooper Rush there too. That's a good point. I don't know. I doubt that Dak's like gone anytime soon, but it's like, just you made the move for Lance early on, and who knows?
Yeah, I also think DJ Chark at 31. If he was at $4 or $5, I think he gets time, but 31 is expensive.
Yeah, well, and David Montgomery, it's like Montgomery 1 year for 55. That's a lot to pay a running back, but he's also a producing running back. So like that difference matters,
Yeah, so $66 next year for David Montgomery, if my quick math does me justice.
Mm-hmm.
Are you paying David Montgomery $66? Again, another player that was traded by Flynn. So you got to feel like there's a plan to re-sign there. Traded him for DeAndre Hopkins, a second and a third.
If you're telling me he's the starting running back for the Lions next year, I'm probably doing that.
NFC North, probably, yeah. Yeah,
that's it's still a lot of money to pay a running back though when you can get cheap spot starts here and there.
Yeah, no, I agree. We'll see what ends up happening with it. Moving on, let's scroll on down to the inaugurals. The last team in the division of death. They've got a lot of free agents here coming up for them. It's supposed to be the last one yet.
Do they even have any money at this point? Is he gonna have to like be on the side of the road asking for spare change? Like,
yeah, he's in the same boat as me. So Cam Hoon, negative $59 this year, and just picked up Kyler. So Kyler is another 170 in the hole. Take out how much he's paying Richardson, which is 30, so another 140 in the hole. So negative $200 in cap room next year for the inaugurals, second only to the implications of 188. So there's really not much re-signing that he can do. But again, there's the option to sign and trade.
Right.
And I think Rachaad White is one of those first guys, but that I keep in mind. But again, when you've got no money, what do you do, right? So DeAndre Hopkins, if you've got no money or negative 200, Hopkins is going to go, right?
He's gone. Even he signed a 2-year deal, so he'll be playing next year. But yeah, like you can't re-sign Hopkins. Like I just looking at this, like
I think Hopkins is a free agent. I think this entire list for the most part becomes.
Yeah, like you gotta. I mean, he traded 3 pieces and a pick for Rachaad White. So there's got to be in his process some way he's gonna work Rachaad White into a re-sign. I don't know how he's gonna do it, but like I can't imagine you just let Rachaad walk. And then like I don't know, some of these other guys at the bottom list, like Raheem Jarrett was a guy I think I picked up in the vet auction as an undrafted free agent that like maybe he's something if the Bucs let Mike Evans go or whatever, I don't know. Right. But yeah, none of these guys are like, you're not losing sleep over losing these guys.
No, not even a little bit. I think Rachaad White would stay. I think Rachaad White's the only person on this list, honestly, that I would say makes it through just based off of I'll re-sign this guy and hopefully send him somewhere else. I know that Cam is also a Mike Gesicki truther. After I cut him, he picked him up for $4 and has spoken highly of Gesicki. Has his like a nickname for him with like second highest paid tight end, by the way, I think is his nickname.
Yeah. Oh no, he has the Patriots tight ends. He has Hunter Henry and Gesicki.
Yeah.
Which like they're both really good tight ends, but they're on the Patriots, so that tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, it's like no thanks. Kendrick Bourne is an interesting one, just because he's a
Oh,
dollar.
I didn't even see him. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think Hopkins makes it. I don't think Edwards makes it. I don't think Rashad White might make it, but he might also just let him go because we can't afford him. It's $20 and you're Rashad White next
year. Right.
When you next bowl 10% extra.
I don't wanna put you on the spot, but I kind of have to now because this popped into my mind. So for the taxi squad, if someone's over the cap, do they not get those 5 guys roll over to next year if they're?
No, they still roll over. No, they'll still roll
Okay.
over. I think the way that we're just going to change it is you've got to be under the cap by the draft. And you've got to be under the cap again by September 1st if you go over after the draft. Because I think it'd be ridiculous to say you can't draft somebody or you can't
because you're like
make a
$2 over.
Yeah. So I think, but I also think that you being over the cap, the $200+ like 2 teams are going to be until September of next year doesn't make sense either. So well, kind of executive decision that one. So moving from one team that's in a cap disaster for next year to another, we'll head to the implications. We talked about this a little bit beforehand already, but as a spoiler alert, I don't think the top 3 are the only 3 worth talking about. I think the rest are just see you later players. I don't think that even get re-signed for anything.
I mentioned Pierre Strong maybe. Yeah, I mentioned Pierre Strong maybe if you're able to clear out cap, but I don't know how you're going to clear out the cap. Like I know you'd probably want to re-sign Eckler, you'd probably want to re-sign Brown. Like maybe you want to re-sign Thielen, but it's like you're going to have to do some magic to get. So
can I tell you a secret?
What's up?
Cap isn't real, so I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it yet. As a spoiler alert, AJ Brown and Adam Thielen are getting re-signed. If you have an A starting your first team, you get re-signed on this team. Okay. They're going to get re-signed. I'm going to try to train them. I have no idea what the deal is going to be with Eckler yet. That'll be real.
He's an interesting case, isn't he? Because he's not really producing like Eckler normally does. But I mean, I'm sure he'll get rolling soon. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully. Especially with all the injuries to the Chargers offense. But the Chargers offense, can I ask you another question that I asked in the chat? Nobody said anything back to, so I'm just going to ask you now on here.
Yeah.
At what point in time does Brandon Staley get fired? How many times do the Chargers have to be good and then just be terrible, and he just gets to stay?
Did you see the press conference where he was like getting real defensive about how like, oh, I'm still running this team, like I'm calling the defenses, like you can stop asking this question.
No,
like he got hot in the press conference, and it wasn't like Dennis Green screaming, but it was just like, I mean, like I don't know, like I don't know how he still has the job, personally.
Yeah,
that's just me.
I mean, they blamed it on the OC. OC's gone. Kellen Moore's there. Everybody talks about Kellen Moore like he's fucking Jesus Christ.
I mean, seriously.
And
and like
he hasn't done anything either. I don't know. I just wonder.
I think with that organization, you just need to hire a new personal trainer or a fitness coach or whatever you got to do. The strength and conditioning coaches, or whatever, like, because like they're injured literally every single year, and like we talk about the Chargers being like the most unluckiest team with injuries, like. You need to actually like
you gotta figure that out though, right? Like you gotta
the health of your players. Yeah, I mean like Mike Williams is injured every year, right? Like I mean Josh Palmer's injured. Now they got no receivers.
Yeah,
Ben Johnson can't catch. Yeah, like just it's all over the place.
I don't know. Just a fun question. So otherwise this is pretty boring, right? The top 3 are candidates to be re-signed, the bottom 9 are not.
Pretty much, yeah.
You know, negative all this money. I wonder what's going to happen with these 3. I still don't know what direction my team is going in 2025 yet. I think I dug myself a little too deep with Javonte, but we'll see. But there's options here. Even a sign and trade at a minimum. You know, I'll pay for half of it. But I think I think all 3 of them get re-signed. I don't know about Eckler. Well, it's going to be really weird. We'll find out together. Going from one of us to the other one. Oh, there's also other people that were hiding, but Matt Barkley and Bailey Zappi.
They don't exist. Yeah, they're not people.
Let's talk about your roster. So another interesting one. Duke Johnson just picked up off the waiver wire. Kareem Hunt there, George Kittle there, Tyler Lockett there, Zeke's there. You're paying a decent amount of money to Kenny Gainwell as well, thinking he was going to be the starter, obviously. there's no way, and just speaking from an objective standpoint, feel free to confirm, deny, whatever you want. There's no way that you're paying Lockett $82 next year. Sorry, he's gone or he's restricted free agent. I think you're going to have to pay Kittle. You traded for him. You've become a bit of a tight end guy. He's one of the 3-4 guys that has tight end one in the range of outcomes. I don't think Zeke gets re-signed. I don't think many of these other guys get re-signed as well.
Yeah. I like some of the younger, cheaper guys I have on the roster, but yeah, when I bid, like, I don't know if I started the bidding for Lockett in the vet draft at like $69, but I just threw up a fat check and was like, take it and just sign with me in like just 1 year rental kind of thing. Because he's 31 and he's like probably still one of the most underrated wide receivers in the league. But
I agree. Tyler Lockett's got in a lot of leagues.
It just don't. Yeah, I don't see. I don't see how after buying Burrow and Diggs, how I can afford Lockett realistically.
He's one of those dudes who it's just like you see these. I'm not poking fun or making fun of anything. I swear to God, I'm just gonna do this.
Yeah.
He's one of the dudes. You look at a roster. God damn it! I'm complimenting Cam Hoon. You look at a roster like this. You got Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, and you're like, damn, that's fucking this guy's wide receiver core. Like that's fucking crazy. I want to. But he's gonna put up points though. Like that wide receiver core is sexy, whereas the wide receiver core I have in most of my leagues is like Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Tyler Lockett. They're all reliable. Yeah. So I think he's one of those dudes who does that. He's not sexy. You're not gonna put your pants over.
Like Mike Evans. Like I know we'll talk about the C words in a little bit, but it's like Mike Evans has still been him this year. Like he's not going away. Like he's what, like 30, 31?
Yeah.
32? Like, I mean, I don't know how long he's going to be able to keep doing it, but, like, the dude just produces.
Yeah, it's insane. And everybody thought JSN was going to take him out of a job, and he had not. So,
right.
We'll see. All right, let's move on to the C words. Lots of free agents here for them. None really worth talking about. I mean, that's not true.
I think you have to re-sign the quarterbacks. Being in the spot that he's at,
right?
You know what I mean? I see like Noah Brown, Robert Woods, like just anything attached to CJ Stroud right now is skyrocketing in value.
Oh my man, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a long list of mostly nobodies. Like you're not re-signing Aaron Jones. Like I love the guy.
No,
but yeah, no way.
Maybe a little over 100.
There's no way.
Darnell Mooney, no. Badgett has played well. Like he's a cool story, but
yeah.
Anywhere. Curtis Samuel's expensive, and Rick has said a couple times too. Like so, at what point, at what point in time do you hold him?
And that's kind of why I think you try to just re-sign the guys that will have value at any point and long term, and it's like. He's not gonna waste a re-sign on like one of the running backs on this list. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna probably target the quarterbacks, maybe get a receiver or two. That's at least what I think.
I agree. I don't think there's a whole bunch of people. He this, should he that? Like I think Aaron Jones gets. O'Connell. We talked about that offline a bit.
Yeah,
those guys. Just off
I think you do.
The value. They're $5 add on each, so $14 for Aiden O'Connell, $11 for DTR. Not bad for DTR's looked okay. Aiden O'Connell's looked okay. They're guys that you could maybe spend at some point in time in a trade for a second, with some injuries or something. I would definitely signing them. And there's some upside guys here, injury away running backs like Jordan Mason. Austin Knox could be a weird injury away tight end because I think Kate's taken over everything. But there's really nothing incredibly exciting here worth talking about. So we'll keep on going to the the Liquidators. I'll make this a different color just for now. This way we can see it a little bit better, and then fix it back here when we get up. So a lot of interesting pieces just based off of his strategy coming into this year, really.
Oh yeah.
So Ertz is pretty cheap. P. Ryan's there, Tannehill's there, Purdy's there, Damian Harris is there, Keontae Ingram's there. Like a lot of good pieces that are like almost like what ifs or what could have been for his team. But the problem is that with bidding, not highly on some of these guys, but with raising the prices a bit, you wonder which ones actually stay. I think Cousins has got to be one of the ones that stays, just because you don't make a trade for Cousins like that and then let him go. That wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. I think you've got to keep Purdy. $50.
Oh yeah.
50. It'd be 56. I think. $57. If you re-sign him, I think for a starting quarterback that's playing well like Purdy is, you're foolish not to keep Purdy. You're foolish not to keep Cousins. Great start to build around for sure too. It just becomes a question then of what else do you want to do? Do you keep DeVito? People think that DeVito should play over Daniel Jones, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
So do you keep him as well for 20, or is that too many quarterbacks that you're keeping now? Tannehill's there. Is Tannehill a guy? I could see him going to somewhere like Vegas or some shit that's just trying to get a bridge guy.
I mean, earlier today, I read something about the Tannehill he should seek release and go play for the Browns, and it's just like, that'd be interesting,
Yeah.
I mean, I do think that like some of his.
Retires easy.
Oh yeah.
Compete for a job somewhere type deal.
Yeah, just hand the ball off 20 times a game, throw on play actions. And you're set. Yeah.
Rodriguez and Justin Ross are both interesting because they are both protected. So they went up from each to $13. So they could walk, or you could sign them for $8. There was talk of Trask and Baker in that QB competition that Baker won. So Trask have any value? Damian Harris was supposed to cook, been banged up. Keontae Ingram was supposedly the number 2 to James Conner, not so much.
Ty Chandler.
Ty Chandler seems like he's taking over the backfield in Minnesota now. So there's a lot going on there for sure. But it's just a matter of how much worth holding on. Who do you think? A team that is not in cap trouble, by the way. They've kind of got what they want to do at their disposal. Also, don't forget 4 first-round picks this year, 7 second-round picks this year, 3 third-round picks this year. All of that factored in, still projected to have $160 next year. So re-signing is an option as well. But after Kirk and Purdy, that number goes down to $40 some. Is there anybody else you really hold on to, you think, on this roster?
Probably Ty Chandler, but outside of that, it's a lot of dart throws and nice profiles. I like the profile of this guy. It's like, well, you're also drafting 14 rookies. It's like, do you even have the roster space?
Right.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting. I mean, he's definitely got one of the most flexible, enticing positions that an orphan owner would want to have, because you've got all the draft capital in the world, all the cap space in the world. The world's your oyster once you get to the off season.
And it'll be interesting to see what Chase does with it when we get there. All right, let's move on to the last piece of this. So for those of you
bonus content,
content, yeah. So at the end of or in the off season last year, I did a top 25 free agent list of who I thought were the top 25 free agents. It's funny how wrong and how right some of those were. So Geno Smith was number 1. I stand by that. I think that was right. But then there were some really weird names on there. Who Trace McSorley was number 10. Was number 10 on that list. Well, he was supposed to start, I thought. So anyway, it was a mess.
Well, see, this time you can, if people give you shit for this list, they can also blame me because we did this together. So
that is true. So
it's not just blind this time.
Yeah. So we went through the list of people who we think will be a projected free agent, and then ranked them in some capacity of people who we think will be a free agent this upcoming season. Now, keep in mind, free agent could mean restricted free agent. It could mean they're just on the team, right? So I already kind of mentioned Austin Eckler. I don't think let go. I don't think Brown lets Saquon go completely. I think Justin Zelly doesn't just let Justin Fields go.
They might not have a choice. Yeah. They'll figure it out, I guess.
The trade deadline's still coming, right? So all these pieces that are expiring could move in some capacity. You also will not see names on here that are free agents, right? So, for example, Brock Purdy's not on this list. Why? Because we think the Liquidators is going to sign them. Tyreek Hill's not on this list because we think the Kung Fu Pandas are going to re-sign them. So there are some names that just aren't going to appear on this list that are coming free agents because it doesn't make sense for us to let them go. But this is what we think could be the top 25 free agents coming off season. I think our list that we had of names liked was 33, and we trimmed the fat a little bit and got it down to this 25 list. You and I were kind of doing some debating in terms of what should be at the top of the standings. I overvalue the quarterback, so I was kind of arguing Geno should be number one again like he was last year. You were saying Saquon should be number one over Eckler. But the top five, top six, really, I think the top six is really that top tier. You can even say top. I'll stick with top six is really a top tier. I think it comes down right after that, in the next, the next 5 picks, and then lets it fall off at a cliff. It got really weird in the middle when we got to like Waller, Cooks, Madison, Jones, Dillon, because we were like, man, all these guys could be super valuable, could be super. Why are you here?
Well, I like the fact we have Taysom Hill at 17. It's like he's not normally a guy that you would think would be like valued like that, but it's like he can play both positions. He's under contract for next year, and it's like he's got such a big role in that offense. It's like we would do questions like, "Would you rather have Gabe or Taysom Hill?" And Blind's like, "Neither." And they're both right there at 17 and 18. So
that was Gabe Davis or Juju Smith-Schuster. You said, fucking neat.
Oh yeah.
So Juju's not on this list. He got cut off. Dawson Knox got cut off. Who was I pushing for when you did the Juju? You were pushing Juju should be cut off the list. We cut them both off. I can't remember.
I think it was Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt didn't make the list.
He was getting cut. Curtis Samuel's there. He's only 22.
Curtis
okay.
Barely made it at 22.
Oh, it was Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney was another one.
Got cut. Yeah. So. Lots of different names, but this is the list that we came up as a top 25. And if you colors correspond to the team colors as well, lots of different colors. Not a whole bunch of the implications, not a whole bunch of the pandas, not a whole bunch of the seawords, not a whole bunch of the princess, not a whole bunch of the. It really is a good mix of everything. And when we line it up, I don't have it here. I should have had it here. Talk about being unprepared. How many times today have I said I should have had this right here?
Yeah, that's fine.
The names on this list, the top 10 names on this list are really fucking good. Top 11, top 13, 14, top 15 are really good names, honestly.
I'd say, well, yeah, I don't know. I would say like Jones and Madison are just kind of like whatever. Like I would say like the top 13 definitely, but like yeah, it is interesting because there are some of these guys are like getting to like 28, 29, 30 years old, and it's like. I mean, thinking about it, it's like honestly, in Superflex, this is last year's. Okay, like in Superflex, I know that I was saying like I was pounding the table for Saquon is the number 1 free agent, but like, I mean Justin Fields and Geno, like if they're both starting quarterbacks next year, like they could easily be 1 and 2.
Yeah. So this was last year's with Geno, Jimmy G, Brock Purdy,
Jimmy G, my goodness,
Rondale Moore, Nelson Aguilar, Allen Robinson, God forbid, Malik Willis at number 11. So the difference between this top 15 and this top 15, I think, is a huge difference. So, it'll be really interesting to see.
Kiko
fucking staring at me. It'll be. I swear to God, we'll go outside soon. This top 15 list in comparison to the one I just had up, I think.
Yeah.
And I think it's a viable strategy. I think this last year nobody really left. There were no really big free agents. The free agent veteran draft was a little bit boring. Whereas this year and beyond, I think there should be some spicy names in some capacity. When we're talking about RFAs, and the RFAs are fucking Zonovan Knight.
Yeah.
A little bit different of an excitement level between Zonovan Knight and Austin Eckler. So, it'd be a lot more fun.
And Saquon, Rachaad White, even like Tony Pollard. Like I know he's not had a great year, but it's like the fact that he's on this list.
Yeah.
Like Montgomery signed like a 3-year deal with the Lions, so he's still going to be playing ball the next 2 years.
Yeah. And again, this is all projected, right? We could be totally wrong, and somebody hangs on to these guys instead of something else. But this is what we thought made sense from our conversation the last 2 times, and here we're at. So should be fun to see this offseason, but we still got this season to go. Please keep in mind, next week is that trade deadline live stream. It is going to happen on November 30th at 9 p.m. Eastern. Should be fun. I can't wait.
Oh yeah. We've already had some trades. We had like 3 trades today that happened. Just bang, bang, bang.
They're going.
Yep.
Will be fun. I'll make sure that I do the breakdown in terms of I'll do like the 28th or 29th. I'll do my little
the scenarios. Playoff.
Yeah, something like that. That'll be the way to do it, I think. So that's going to do it for us this week. Any final thoughts?
No. Best of luck in your games, guys. We're into division time.
Yeah, back in the division. So, big week to play. Spoiler for the teams that are playing well. Big week to secure your playoff spot. A couple teams could clinch playoff spots with wins this week. So, I know Justin still does in some capacity. Kung Su Pandas can make it really fucking hard to catch him with a win over Flynn. I can make it very difficult to catch me in our division. With a 2-0 over Chase. So there's a lot going on. Dan needs to score points still. Like there's something on the line for every single team here.
Everybody, yeah.
This is definitely where it gets spicy. So will be interesting in how it goes. So good luck in your games this week, everyone. We will see you in the next one next week, sometime probably Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll record mine, and then our trade deadline is coming. So next Thursday. Again, at 9 p.m. Eastern, we're going to start the trade deadline live stream. We'll be streaming on Twitch for probably an hour and a half or so. And then it will just turn into a Discord call. So make sure that you're around in the Discord. We'll make a trades channel, make a couple trades channels. This way we can all be in one. And if you really start talking with someone else, you can go on a different call with them.
I like that.
It'll be a lot of fun. And happy Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for all you motherfuckers.
Yeah.
For being here and being part of the league and all that shit too. So I hope you guys get to enjoy some food and time with the family. What are you doing for Thanksgiving, Code? Anything?
We're just hanging out here. Chantel's mom's coming, so it'll be fun.
You guys doing the turkey and all that shit?
Yeah, it'll be good.
Fuck yeah, good man. We'll enjoy it. Hope you guys are doing something too. Whether that's, I don't know. I'm not gonna get all weird and sentimental, but hopefully it's enjoying time with family and friends and shit, and watching some football. Don't forget to set your fucking lineups, by the way.
Definitely.
Tomorrow, so let me do that fucking now. You guys have a good night. We'll see you all in the next one.